Mute me. Hi, hi. Good afternoon. Hello there. Welcome to Digital Times Africa live broadcast of the Sage Dialogue series. My name is Richard Joseph, and bringing you the Sage Dialogue series all the way from Accra, Ghana, in partnership with Sage in Nigeria and AFROSEED. We will be looking in topic or the theme that speaks about innovation and entrepreneurship, right? New Crude. Joining me would be Anne Obizie and Valo Epsibari. Uh, Hi, Valo, welcome, and hi, and welcome to the dialogue. Good to see you guys, looking splendid. Can you hear me
Hi,
loud and
Richard.
clear?
Yes,
Yes,
I
I
can
can hear
hear
you,
you.
please.
Wow, that's so. Before we dive straight in, let's just share a little bit about the dialogue series. Right, this dialogue series is brought to you by StageNet partnership with Digital Times African. Let me tell you a little bit about Sage Nigeria. Sage is an acronym for Students for the Advancement for Global Entrepreneurship. It is an international program initiated at the California State University, Chico, USA in 2002, and it is currently operating in all the continents of the world. And the mission of SAGE basically is to help create the next generation of entrepreneurial leaders whose innovation and social enterprises address major unmet needs of the global community, right? Digital Times is a multimedia organization with a focus on providing that platform that accelerates impact, share the stories of African innovators, making an impact, making a shift in dynamics of how digitalization is shaping the world all the way from Africa. All right, and AfroSeed is also positioned as the Afro Entrepreneurship Education Development, which is a Pan-African initiative of igniting the imaginative abilities and problem-solving abilities of young people in Africa. Right. Let's straight into the conversation. Right. We're about innovation and entrepreneurship. Right. Africa's new crude. First of all, let's really understand what innovation and entrepreneurship is. And I have my guest who are seasoned expert. Before we go on, let me hear from them. Hi, Valo. How are you?
Hi, Joseph. I'm doing good.
Uh, I know you run a cab in Port Harcourt, right? I think it's called Track. Can you just get us through what Space Tracks does and how they help entrepreneurs or create innovations that actually help the digital ecosystem in Africa? Then I'll go over to Anne, and Anne is going to tell us about what she does at the Talk with Mark Anne Consult. I think I got that right. I hope I'm correct. That's correct. All right, Valo, let's hear you, sir.
Okay, Richard, thank you very much. Hi, Anne. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thank you very much, Valo.
Okay, so Space Tracks is a hub here in Port Harcourt where our sole aim is to create a conducive environment for young entrepreneurs to come and brainstorm, network, share ideas, and get developed. Okay, so basically we provide all the digital support that entrepreneurs need here in Port Harcourt, and then we also create a platform for them to network and then get resourceful help from one another in order to foster their growth and their businesses.
All right, thank you so much, Valo, for that insightful introduction about Space Tracks and what you do at Space Tracks. Let's move over to McAnn right now, and let's hear what McAnn also was with the talk with McAnn Consult. She's the trainer. I think she you basically teach a lot of young people, right? It's so exciting to have you.
Exactly. Yeah,
Perfect.
thank you
Let's
very
hear you.
much, Richard. So my name is Anne Obizeo. So I'm also known as Mark Anne, and I am the lead trainer at the Talk with Mark and Consult. And what we do at the Talk with Mark and Consult, it is a media and a personal development firm focused on exposing young people to, extracurricular activities and things they are not taught in classroom. So we organize trainings and conferences, both online and offline, and also in the media. We run brand visibility, video production, and audiovisual content creation to, boost the visibility of entrepreneurs and also online businesses, including events and moderation and the rest of it. So it's more like the media aspect and personal development, where the media will offer digital media services, and also the personal development will train young people to help them unleash their potentials and also become the best version of themselves. So that's what we do at the Talk with Market and Consult. And we're based in Abuja, although most of our services are online. And yes.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much, Anne. Now we can dive straight into this conversation. You're based in Abuja in Port Harcourt. It looks like these major entrepreneurship hubs, right, where we can find a lot of innovators. I know, particularly, I'm so interested because Port Harcourt is said to be an oil city, right? And or
Yeah.
they form part of the part in Nigeria that produces it. And talking about crude, right? Sorry, not to take us out of context. Is entrepreneurship going to be the new crude of Africa? That's a question we'll answer later. But now let's really understand what entrepreneurship or innovation entails. Who would like to share first? I think I should put Mark Ann on since you do a lot of trainings and you.
Okay, so to me, entrepreneurship, the first time I got to hear about the word entrepreneurship was, I think I was 14 years old, and it was through Sage. And it's becoming more popular now. But then 14 years old, that should be like 10 years back, it wasn't that popular. But then the exposure through Sage, we were carrying out, we're identifying problems, creating products, and solving problems. And at the end, we're able to generate funds from that. So I got the idea of what entrepreneurship was. Then growing up and then getting into college, university, it became um, the the major thing that's been talked about. So for me, I would say entrepreneurship. I'm not going to go with a dictionary definition, but entrepreneurship is simply the ability of an individual to identify a problem and create products and services to solve that problem. If you're able to do that, productize services to meet problems and need, you are an entrepreneur. So it's just problem identification, provision through product or services, and then you make money at the end. So it's an individual who identifies a problem, takes the risk, takes the initiative to develop a system, a solution to solve that, either through product or services, and then at the end gets paid for that.
Wow, that's a lot. The major thing I took out of that is problem solving.
Yeah,
And yes, we have a lot of problems to solve in Africa. In the
a lot.
context of Nigeria, looking at the recent happened valor. What is entrepreneurship? What is innovation to?
Okay, thank you very much. I totally agree with what McCann said. And just to add to that, I would say entrepreneurship is simply being enterprising. So what that means is if you have the ability to, identify a problem and then go further by providing a definite solution to that problem, either in form of a product or with.
I think we are losing you. And the call, can you hear?
Yes, I'm here. I can hear you.
Unfortunately, it looks like valor. We would we would get back in and see how we proceed, but let's continue because we have limited time. We are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Sage Nigeria Facebook page, and we're also streaming live on Digital Times Facebook page, and also on Digital Times YouTube channel. Feel free to conversation live and colored. Let us know what you think. Let us share your thoughts. Talk about what's going on in Nigeria and how Sage is actually helping shape the dynamics of the entrepreneurial system in Nigeria. And let's move further while we wait for Valo to join. Valo, can you hear? Are you back in? I think we lost you finally there. Let's just continue with our discussion. So, Anne, we're talking about entrepreneurship, right? And talking about problem solving. Where would you what do you see, or where are we currently as to having eradicate some of the major challenges we are facing in Africa, especially in the context of Nigeria?
Okay, I would say that we're still at the foundational stage because entrepreneurship is now gradually being embraced. And a lot of persons are yet to fully come into the reality of it. But then entrepreneurship is it's the new crude, because there are lots of problems. And currently now in Nigeria, there are lots of problems, but we don't have enough jobs to, tackle, to get people employed. And then a lot of persons are beginning to embrace entrepreneurship. But then the challenge is that a lot of persons are not equipped for the reality of the entrepreneurship life. It's not quite an easy life. So we were brought up in the sense that you go to school, get a certificate, and we're not really taught in the way to identify problems and begin to proffer solution. But then
Wow.
you're now discovering that when you now graduate from college, you now have to begin to learn the reality of life. You begin to learn the ropes, and it's just as if you're starting afresh. So a lot of persons are like, they venture into entrepreneurship by chance and not by
Okay.
preparation.
Wow. Wow. How people venture into entrepreneurship by chance and not by preparation. May I
Yeah.
tweet that? That was a very good punchline. Okay. Fortunately, we have Valo back. Valo, I'm so sorry. Let me give you a cursory review to what Mark Ann was sharing. So, and basically, that's where we are currently in entrepreneurship and innovation in the state of Nigeria, right? And Mark Ann was sharing her opinions, right? We'll let you from where you stopped, talk about what you felt or what you entrepreneurship is to you, and then you go further to address the question Mark Ann just answered, right? About we currently with entrepreneurship or innovation in the country or in Africa as a whole.
Okay, so sorry for that, Rick. So I was saying that entrepreneurship for me is simply being enterprising. Okay, so an
Mm-hmm.
individual should be able to have the ability to discover a problem, and then you come up with a definite solution for that problem. And then it could be in form of a product or a service. And at the end of the day, you get rewarded for that product or service. So that makes you an entrepreneur. So it's not limited to a particular area of study, is not limited to any background. Okay, it's just the ability you have to be able to solve problems that makes you an entrepreneur. So simply, I would say it's being enterprising generally. Yeah.
All right, perfect. Entrepreneurship is being enterprising, the ability to solve problems. We've all echoed the same thing, ability to solve problem. And like I asked Mark and Valo, what is the current state of entrepreneurship in Africa or Nigeria in context? Or what is are we able to solve a lot of the challenging problems that we are facing? What are we doing with entrepreneurship addressing some of these challenges?
Okay, so talking about the challenges faced by entrepreneurs in Nigeria, I would first start by saying that our educational system has not really, done justice to that. But I also will not blame them so much because, entrepreneurship for me is beyond school curriculums, it's beyond what we learn from school. I think it's more of a personal skill. It's something you can develop personally, irrespective of your academics or educational background. So I would rather say that the system of governance we have in Nigeria specifically, it's not so it's not so supportive. Okay, so when firstly I'll come from the point of the financial sector. Okay, now looking at the Central Bank of Nigeria, what are they doing to help young entrepreneurs? Because we all know that having fantastic ideas is good, but then what makes it work is the ability to raise capital, to raise funds, to push these ideas. And this is the challenge most of our entrepreneurs have, especially here in Port Harcourt, where the whole focus is centered on oil, the oil sector, the oil and gas sector. No one looks at ideas that could actually boost the economy on a different platform. Now, even those that kind of have some innovations that could also drive the oil and gas sector, maybe digitally, but since it's not really going into the buying and selling aspect of oil and gas, which they are already used to. They find it difficult to, embrace those ideas and technologies and innovations. So it makes it very difficult. So what I'm trying to say is having our financial sectors like the banks through the CBN, have an initiative whereby they make out, funds, or they put aside funds for strategic ideas, okay, that are being brought up by young entrepreneurs, and then make sure it's not just by giving them some 5,000 or some $10,000, okay, they make sure that these ideas are developed to the point whereby it can actually grow on its own, okay, bringing about employment, and at the end of the day, the society is also going to gain from such ideas, because taxes are going to be paid. A lot of areas are going to be affected. So I'll say specifically that our financial sector in this country, they need to step up their game in terms of making funds available for entrepreneurs. It will go a long way for us to strive.
Right.
Yeah.
Great. Man, do you agree? I don't know. Let's hear what you think.
Okay, so what Valo is saying is right, but then I don't think that is the actual problem we are facing. I feel and I believe
now we're having a dialogue. Good.
The first issue we're facing in Nigeria is the place of knowledge. Entrepreneurship is not just about having the ideas. Now, if we look at the statistics, we have statistics of a lot of startup. I think I was checking statistics sometime last week, and it was like over 90% of startup fail after just few months and even years of starting. They don't survive past 3 years. I feel what the foundational issue that needs to be addressed, because if you hand over finance and hand over money to someone who does not have the adequate knowledge and experience of how to run a business, despite the beautiful idea, that idea is going to crash. I feel we have the issue of the knowledge, the issue of the preparation. I feel entrepreneurship should be embraced as a system. The education system have to, now, just like Valo said, it is not something you teach in the classroom. And that is why I wrote a book titled Beyond the Classroom. Education is, we need to segregate between schooling and education. Now, I studied education by the virtue of going to school. And we learned that we have different kinds of education. We have the informal, non-formal, and the formal education. But over here in Nigeria, we have a lot of focus on the formal education system without paying much attention to the informal and non-formal education. And that is where the entrepreneurial spirit of young people are being developed. A lot of people venture, I said it initially, they venture into entrepreneurship by chance, not because it's just because that's the only option. When you've toyed and there is nothing else to do, your brain begins to think, and that is good. But if people can learn how they can think even when the problems are not yet there. Now, maybe you don't need to encounter a financial problem when you are 23 and 25 to come up with an idea. Imagine someone 13 years old, you're still in your father's house. You're just still a teenager, but you're giving that environment, you're giving that atmosphere where you can look for problems, identify problems, and solve them. So I feel the education system should create, because even when I was in university, we did entrepreneurship, but what we did, it was just a one semester curriculum, one semester course without any credit load. And what people just did was just come to school, go to, people did not even attend lectures. And it was more theoretical than practical. So I feel the foundation needs to be set right, because if the foundation is faulty, the businesses of the future will keep crashing and keep crumbling. So at 13 years old, and that's why I love what Sage is doing. And if the government can, see a way to replicate this, everything is not all about going to school, writing exam, passing exam. Let's look for the places where clubs and societies are being revived. Young people are given that atmosphere and say, okay, think about a solution to this problem. Let them think. Let them, begin to use small funds and just start them out. And before you know it, before they now get to the age of 23, and then so introducing the culture of non-formal education, and also there's a place of skill acquisition. There are skills that you need to acquire to help businesses thrive. So these are the places to apprenticeship, mentorship, internship. These are the things that will just help you. You're learning from others, and when it's time for you to launch yours, we with the finance, that is where the finance is just like the icing of the on the cake. Okay, without, if you just give someone icing to eat without the cake, the substance, you're just going to throw up. So I feel the foundation should be education, knowledge. Structure it in a way during the holiday system, during the holiday period. What are young people doing? They should go for internship. They should learn skills. Become an apprentice to someone who is already doing something. And with time, when you now have your idea and you have your finance, you would see that the chances of your business failing can be reduced to to a bearable minimum. So I think that's my thought on that. I agree with what Valo is saying, but I feel that is just like the icing of the cake. The foundation is education. The foundation is having the right knowledge, and then with the right knowledge and finance, we're going to have businesses that are thriving. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anne. That's pretty deep. That's a lot to take in, right? You spoke so much about education, foundation, and let me just introduce this to our viewers or our audience watching. We have audience joining us all the way from Nigeria. We have a couple of them here in Ghana, and a couple of them spread across the world in the US and in UK. By the way, this is the first session of a series, and tomorrow we'll be talking about education. And it's funny that Anne has just kept on hitting on education.
Talking about education.
Something you guys need to know is that Anne is a co-moderator on this dialogue series. It's so good to see. I'm sure tomorrow we'll see her in charge talking about education or leading dialogue on education. Anne, what do you think? Right? Let's continue. There's a few comments coming in, and we'll get to that later. Mind you, we are streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, on the Sage Nigeria and the Digital Times platform. Do to share your insight. I mean, just tag us at Sage, tag us at Digital Times Africa. Anne made a very, very, very intriguing comment, and I want to reiterate. She said, and I quote, "If the foundation is faulty, businesses of the future will keep on crumbling." I think, Anne, you came in with a lot of punchlines for us, right? Do you have more in store? Okay. Let me just give a few statistics here, talking about education, right? We need to, this is my opinion, and I honestly want to share this with our audience, right? We need to start investing a lot into human capital. And I think the position of Sage Nigeria, and then that's what you're doing. Mind you, Sage Nigeria is hosting the 2021 Sage Exhibition Awards competition, right? I hope I got that right. That hosted at the former president of Nigeria, His Excellency Mr. Olusegun Obasanjo. I hope I get the name right, tongue twisters. Mr. His Excellency Honorable Mr. Olusegun Obasanjo Library at Abeokuta in Nigeria, where they're going to gather over 300 students to exhibit and then share what's entrepreneurial knowledge to help them groom the next generation of entrepreneurial leaders. Right, just for statistics, 97.5 million people are dropped out of school on a yearly basis, or of total Nigerians. 97.5 million do not have access to school, right? That leads me to my next question. And you spoke so much about formal and informal and that, right? 97.5 million, that's, Nigeria has about 300 million, I guess, right? And if 97 million, those people are not in school, right? The informal sector also has a lot to do with regards to, building the entrepreneurial spirit of people, right? Or students or young upcoming people, right? So what can we then do, or how can we bridge that gap that exists between the formal and informal sector when it comes to building or grooming the next level or the next generation of entrepreneurial leaders in India?
Okay, I think the first place to begin with is awareness. A lot of persons, now we have the system of education in Nigeria that is the 9-3-4 Okay, so the 9 years is the basic education. Before it used to be 6-3-3-4, but then it became the 9-3-4. If I'm not, if I stand to be corrected, but I think that is it.
Please
So it means
explain what you mean by 934. We're totally confused.
exactly. I want to explain it. It means that the
Okay.
first 9 years is the basic education everyone needs to acquire. So that
Okay.
means it's the inclusion of both your primary and junior secondary. Before it used to be
Mm-hmm.
6 years in primary school, so where you learn how to read, just we learn the elementary, and then
Mm-hmm.
3 years in junior secondary school, then 3 years in senior secondary school, and then 4 years in university, sometimes 4 or 5 years. Well, 4 is like the average year people spend in school. Then
Mm-hmm.
later on, at some point, it was changed to 9-3-4. That is to say, the 9 years is the basic education that everyone needs to at least have access to, and that is where the that was when the Universal Basic Education System was launched. That is UBE.
Yeah.
So that means that it was now free education. I think in some parts of Nigeria, I think government schools provide free education for the for those first 9 years beginning
Okay.
school. Then after that, you can now go on to senior secondary school and university. So the basic education, that is the formal system, is so good, and government is already doing well by making it free to some extent, but I don't know how many persons. But the fact that it's free, somehow the standard has also been reduced, because you go into some of these government schools, it's not conducive, people don't learn. So it's one thing to make education free, it's accessible, but it's another thing to say that the quality of it is just like, oh, it, but then when you go in the quality, there's a lot of things to do with quality education. Sometimes you go to those schools, the government schools in quote, because I was also, I won't say I was privileged. I just had to experience the government school even at a primary school age. There are times most of the government schools don't have facilities for learning, and then how do you expect someone to come to a class and there are no seats to sit down, no books? So poverty is one of the major issues that is affecting access to education. And
Wow.
then even those there are people who they are poor, they can't afford it, but then they now have free education in the basic education system. But when they now come there, the quality of the education that is given to them is not something we are proud of. Sometimes there are no facilities. You see one teacher having to reach out to their classes that you have over 150 students or over 100 students in a class. How do you expect those people to learn? So now that is the
I'm
foundation.
actually tempted to ask if you're a teacher. You know the statistics.
I love teaching, but one thing I do is I utilize the media. I'm not the teacher. I'm trying to bridge the gap to expose people more to the non-formal and informal education, because we have teachers teaching the chemistry, biology, physics, and the rest of it. But I do more of trainings to expose young people and for schools to begin to embrace the informal education. That is where the creativity and the creativity of young people can be harnessed when they discover themselves. Because if we're going to talk about entrepreneurship, we also need to look deep down into the place of self-discovery. Because when you
Yeah,
build a business around what you enjoy doing, around your area of strength, it makes it fun and interesting
that's correct.
in the long run. So there's a
Mhm.
lot of things. And then secondly, talking about, we have the issue of poverty. Now, poverty is there. And then when we now have access to basic education, the quality is now being is being washed down, it's watered down. These students don't have books, they don't have textbook. So I think a lot needs to be done to make access to those basic education high. And secondly, awareness should also begin to be created for the informal and the non-formal education. Okay, people should know that you mustn't really go to university to become successful. There is
Hmm.
something Professor Ndukwe, if I'm not Professor Ndukwe, if I'm not, I don't think it's Ndukwe, but I can't remember him, but he did a review about he wrote to Harvard about the Igbo apprentice system in Nigeria and how it has, created a lot of success stories.
Mhm.
Now, when you go to Igbo people they are the eastern part of Nigeria. okay? And most of them, they are into business. These guys don't go to school. Most of them, the least education they have was stopping at primary school, that is in basic 6. They didn't even get to basic 9. And they didn't even go to the senior secondary and also the university. But the statistics have that we have lots of businesses thriving in the eastern part. So this professor did a review on the Igbo apprenticeship system. And it's a system whereby a young boy is brought from a home and handed over to a master to serve the master. And then within the first 7 years, the 7 years, this boy or the person is serving the master, learning, supporting his business. He sleeps in the shop. He takes that 7 years to immerse himself into the model of his master's business. And after 7 years or 8 years or thereabout, the master settles him to go and start his own business. And statistics has shown that a lot of these young boys who end up starting their businesses, they grow thriving businesses. If you go to the eastern part of Nigeria, we have a lot of business which is surviving. And then this professor had to do a review, and I think it was accepted in Harvard as a model that should be adopted, that should be studied because of the success it has achieved over the years. And it's so that's the place of that apprenticeship system. It's a model that is that is lacking into the informal education. Now, that young boy is not getting a degree at the end, but he's been immersed. He's serving someone that is, he has an idea. This is the business I want to go into in future, but I don't have the knowledge. I don't have the capital. But then when I go and serve this person, I am learning from him. And after some years, while I'm helping him build his business, I am gaining the knowledge. That's why I started from the first point of the knowledge. So gaining the knowledge, gaining the experience. And after some years, you can now start your business, and you see that business thriving. And you see that the model continues. Most of those people who are settled, later on, they have their own younger people who come to them. Some people will just say, oh, we don't have money to train our kids to school. Please let them learn business from you. They serve you, they live with you, they stay in the business. It continues, and the success rate has been impressive. So I think more awareness needs to also be created for the informal aspect. Now, every child needs access to basic education, which is very important. So we need to also make the provision for the basic education to improve the quality of it. And secondly, awareness should be made on the non-formal education system, where people go into apprenticeship to learn a business model. And then we also need to begin to create entrepreneurship hubs. Now, if you can't get admission to study schools, we need schools that train people on skills. So you want to go into mechanic, you learn mechanic, you learn digital skills. Now we have a lot of digital skills, and we have a lot of digital institutions that's springing up. So we also need more awareness of this other types of school to be made known to people. So our parents don't just think that if my child does not go to university, then my child is going to be a failure. And if my child is not passing so well in school, then that means my child is a failure. Because a lot of parents feel that if my child does not do well in school, then that child is a dullard. So I think there's a lot of awareness and reorientation that needs to be done. And we're still in the path, but a lot more needs to be done. And with that, we're going to achieve success in future.
All right, that's a lot. I mean, I think I should host you separately on the panel where you get to give like some form of a TED talk, right? So, Mr. Valo, you've been quiet for too long, but interestingly, Anne mentioned something that sits in your space, right? The hubs, like awareness for the hubs, awareness for informal education, that is apprenticeship, and awareness for basic education. Basically, Anne really hit the nail on awareness. Great. Now, space tracks, right? We do a lot of some of this initiative. How are you positioned to help bridge that gap that exists? I mean, Macan really puts that across, right? The awareness for the hubs. And let's create awareness for space tracks. Talk about your work, and let's know how you do this.
Okay. Thank you very much. I totally agree with what Macan has said, and I'm also very happy that she touched some very vital points, and one of which was when she mentioned poverty. okay, being the cause of why a lot of people can't, get good education, and also the Easterners pattern of business model through the entrepreneurship, where you have to serve a master for a couple of years and then you are settled to start up your own business. Now, the point I'm going to make now is about the motivation. Okay, so now when we talk about entrepreneurship, there should be a drive. Now, it centers around problem solving. We said that earlier. Okay, but what's the point trying to solve a problem if after coming up with a solution, I don't have anything to implement the solution I've come up with? Okay. So now, for the Easterners, what they do is you serve me for 7 years, and you rest assured that at the end of 7 years, I'm giving you a certain amount of money, which I am actually sure should start up a business for you. Okay. Now, in most cases, what the bosses do is they give you one of their shops that is already equipped with the goods. They give it to you. They hook you up with their dealers and suppliers. Do you understand that? Now you have the product, you have the shop. So the next thing now is how you now implement what you've learned over the years to sell what they've given to you. Or probably they give you the cash to go and start up your own in your own location. Do you understand? So at the end of the day, you have a reason, okay, or for the younger ones coming up, they have a reason to want to follow the same path. Why? Because something is guaranteed for them. So they are motivated.
Okay. Wow.
You get my point now. So now what I'm trying to say now is this. Now, as a whole, the knowledge is good, the trainings are all okay, all of these things are needed. But what point is it going to make after being trained for a couple of or maybe 2-3 years? Now you are equipped, you have all the knowledge, all the skill you need to go out there and do your stuff, and then only for you to come out to the real world and you're seeing things differently. Okay, you have the solution to the problems, but then you don't have the means, you don't have what it takes to, get these things running and then have things implemented. So this is where the funding comes in. Now, I'm not just talking about funding, just giving money to someone to go there and, play around with it. If I'm still going to use Port Harcourt, my city, okay, as a case study, we are known for oil and gas, like I mentioned earlier. Now, if the government here comes up to say, for every individual, now, if you have a solution, okay, that has the potency of employing people and solving problems in the agricultural sector, we've set aside a fund to push that initiative and to make sure it works. Now, it's not just going to be giving you the fund. They are going to ensure that you are also equipped with everything you need, from the good team players to the relevant resources available through professionals in the area already. Now, it gives you the drive. So when you're coming up and you've seen people ahead of you, they had good ideas and they had good initiatives, they came up with good solutions and it's working out there. Now it gives you the motivation to want to go out there to, look for something. The idea is we should all have the appetite, okay, to solve problems. And most of these problems, if you look at most of the ideas that are doing so well today in the world, okay, not just in Africa, in the Western world as well, it came at a point where they were going through some very serious challenges. Mark Zuckerberg, for instance, Facebook, he was on campus and he saw that it was difficult having a social life on campus, which for him wasn't the best. Okay, and then he decided to come up with something that links students on campus together. So we are not just here to study, we are also here to socialize, we meet each other, we make friends and all of that. And that is how we had Facebook today, right? That was a problem he discovered. Personally, he had that personal conviction. And I'm very sure as at when he started, a lot of people felt it wasn't necessary, it wasn't going to work, right? Now, assuming after he got to that point where he was about to launch Facebook, there was no one out there to support him, to give him a push, to motivate him with some finance. At least he needed to buy some servers to host the platform. Assuming he didn't have any money to do all of that or anyone to push him further, that idea was going to die. And we were not going to have Facebook today, probably something else. but not Facebook. Do you understand? So what I'm trying to say is that for
And we will have
entrepreneurship to
Kawi.
strive, okay.
Continue.
So for entrepreneurship to strive in Nigeria, okay, the government needs to put some premium on entrepreneurship. Okay, they should not allow ideas to die. Nigerians are contributing a lot to the world, not just in Africa. Okay, when it comes to innovations in the fintech sector, agriculture, and a whole lot of sectors out there. Now, we should have some kind of leverage and assurance that for every solution I come up with, it's not going to die, because there is something about, coming up with a solution and it fails, it dies, not because it's not good enough, but because you don't have any push, you don't have any motivation. It doesn't give you the strength to want to push further. Okay, there is this energy that comes with success. When you're making progress, it gives you a strong vibe to want to move further. And it also encourages others that are coming up. So I think what we are trying to do as Space Tracks is not just to equip them, we are also equipping them with the knowledge, the skills, but we are also trying to, place them in the place where they can harness opportunities with regards to funding, connect them to investors, okay, those that have what it takes to make their ideas come to life, from just documentations or the state of it just being a software on your system, and then we'll have it running in real life. We have it running in the sectors they should be affecting. So that is what we do as Space Tracks. And then, talking about having finances. Now, I know that it's not always easy getting people to jump on board to put their money in there. And I believe that's where Mark-Ann comes in when she was talking about knowledge and skills. Okay, it is also very important. But the point I'm trying to make is that let us have something for us, so that we are not just limited to what we've been taught in school or what we think is right. Okay, I believe that knowledge should not be boxed, knowledge should not be caged. We should be allowed to explore. It's always good to have a two-sided mind. This thing could succeed and it could also fail, but that doesn't stop you from trying. Now you still need to move further. You might have tried once and then that idea didn't succeed, your resources all gone. But I think that shouldn't be a factor why resources should be withdrawn from entrepreneurs and those that have some real good ideas. So bridging this gap, we just need to have put in place something that motivates entrepreneurs, especially in places like Port Harcourt, where emphasis are not so placed on ideas. We look more on stuff that brings in monies in a very large volume and in a very quicker time. You understand? People no longer want to invest in ideas that take some 5, 6, 7 years to give them returns. They want it like as they hit it right now, in the next 48 hours, the money hits their account. So we are trying to establish Space Tracks to be a hub where people come, and then we hook them up with reliable investors that understand some of these processes, and not to just put them out because they feel the idea is not good enough to make money in a shorter period for them. So basically that's it.
All right, thank you so much, Valo, for such a contribution. That was perfectly insightful. I'm sure it looks like Anne has a lot to say, but before we come over to you, and let's see what the people on social media are saying. Valo spoke a lot about funding. I think it's just been funding, and I spoke about the awareness as well, and I talked about how we can build the enabling environment that motivates people to create solutions to problems that exist, right? I think that's what I took out of it, that enabling environment that gives you that determination, or it helps you chuck a certain level of drive to move further and do something that is worthwhile and help solve the problem that Nigeria, Africa as a whole is facing. Right, we have a couple of people joining us by social media. I can see Beulah Julius, Benedict Ajeoklo, Someone makes an interesting comment, and let me just put that. Forexibility. Oh my God, what name is this? Forexibility says, McAnn is right. People barely appear for EED classes in university. Wow, wow, that's a lot, right? Let's take a little bit. Let's take a deeper dive into education, right? We would come back and have McAnn talk about. Let's take a deeper dive into education. McAnn, you spoke a lot about education, especially the formal education, and judging from the fact that we all one way or the other went through university or formal education, we can attest to the fact that in so many cases, yes, we don't have such or anything talking about entrepreneurship or that teaches or educates us or even raise the awareness on how to go about being an entrepreneur. And a report, let's be factual here, right? A report says that 10 to 12 million youths enter the workforce every year in Africa, and mostly without required skills, right? So let's take a caveat here. Let's look at entrepreneurship not just from doing something that solves a problem. Let's look at how it affects the workspace. Right, we have, I think Nigeria has so far achieved 2 unicorn status, right? We have fintech organizations, Spacestack and Flutter, which is doing brilliantly amazing, right, with their solution. And do they get access to well-trained people that can actually share or contribute to the innovative journey they hope to check, right, on the African continent? Right, we're talking about education here. Like, let's really go back to the drawing board. And my question would be, how can we compel or motivate? Well, I don't basically know what word to use here, right? How can we compel these relevant stakeholders or influence them in such a way that they can accept the entrepreneurship model or begin to teach entrepreneurship right from basic school, so that people do not just finish school and don't have relevant skills, or they're not even aware, or they're not knowledgeable, right? Talking about finances, you don't want to give your money to someone who's going to just go spend it, right? We need people who are all adept with the skills to put together or create proper curated solution that addresses the problems of the community of people at large. So we don't have people looking at traveling outside the country before they can actually make an impact, right? Because the rural urban migration in Africa or in so many states in Africa is a lot. You see, people mostly move to the major cities. Meanwhile, there are so much or so many problems or challenges faced within the local, communities, right, that don't get access to. And some of the people have got formal education, right, but still they are looking for white collar jobs. How can we? I feel like using the word compel, like because they have to be pushed to a certain level, right? Well, how can we influence that dynamic change where entrepreneurship is being accepted to basic education, to universities, so people have the right skills, the right mentality to get onto the job market?
Okay, so the how, I think we're already in line. It's one thing to have something on paper, it's another thing to have it being implemented. I remember at some points in Nigeria, I think towards the point when I was leaving secondary school, that was 2010. 2012. That was when I left high school. They introduced something in secondary school called the trade courses. Okay, so the trade courses, trade, TRADE,
Okay.
trade courses. So these are where people begin to learn some trade subjects that are not like the normal subjects. I think I heard, because I didn't experience it at that point, that people were doing subjects on something like agriculture, fish farming, either carpentry, something like that. All these things that can help them trade after they are done with secondary school, even if they don't get admission into high school. But I don't know how far or how much that is being implemented, because I think we're also going to the point again where we just have them learn it theoretically, but then the practical is not there. So I feel a lot more needs to be done to restructure our curriculum and to see that it is being affected. I feel the earlier the better. That's why I'm compelled to younger people, because I was privileged to experience Sage, and I love what Sage is doing. Through entrepreneurship education, Sage is not just teaching a subject. They are just like a club where you come to and you're not thinking about, because I think another issue I noticed with the implementation of the trade courses in our education system is the fact that they also need to write exam with pen and paper for a practical course. I don't think that is realistic. We need to create a hub where people are free. There's this tension that comes with people just read to pass exams, so they just cram. There's something we call it in university, la cram, la pour. That is, you cram and then you just pour for the lecturer to just pass. But at the end, you can't implement that, and that is why we see a lot of issues that keep piling up. Even people graduate, they don't have the skills. Because even if we introduce something in our education system, the implementation is not being followed through. So I feel you don't need to give someone to write an exam for a carpentry course. You don't need to give someone an exam to write an exam for a shoemaking course. That is, if we still have it. I'm not so sure. Let young people begin to practicalize what. If you learn carpentry, then make a table, make a chair. Let us see what you're doing. And secondly, the holiday period is also another point in time that should be utilized for young people. Now, this is not only what government should do. Okay, I believe individuals can also begin to come up with initiative to solve this, because the truth is, if we keep waiting for government to solve problems, we are going to keep having a whole piled up problems in future. For example, I started something called Teens Connect Africa. And what we're doing is we're creating an Africa where teenagers have opportunities to develop their talent and become productive members of the society. Because I believe young people have a lot of time. Now, as we keep growing, we discover that your time is now in limited chunks, because there's a lot to do. But when you're younger, you have a lot of time and you don't even know what to do. So now, if effort is being made to develop their talent, the human capital, and then they learn skills. There's something I'm formulating that should be launched in through my NGO. That should be launched in August, and that is the talent development and skill acquisition program. Now, it is tailored in a way that during the holiday period, teenagers in my locality can gain access to. I'm trying to put together mentors who would mentor them in their skills and also acquire some skills. Because when they begin to acquire that skills, now it doesn't mean they're going to learn, because August is usually a long vacation period that where they have enough time to do a lot of things. So when they begin to practice those skills, they don't need to start making money immediately. They're still learning. But with time, over time, they have a skill that can solve a need in future, and then the money now comes. So I feel what we need to do, a lot of things that need to be done. First of all, we need to look at the implementation of the curriculum that's already in place. How do we see to it that this curriculum is being delivered? And secondly, I believe people should also begin to think of innovative solutions to education problem, because government is not going to do a lot. A lot of government officials don't even understand the need. Their own is, okay, just, I don't even know what is being done. But I feel a lot of persons, if you have ideas that's going to change. I know some people who are doing a lot in the education sector to see that human capacity is being developed. So I believe those people, if they can get funding, if they can also get support, and if government can even embrace their ideas, Sage is also doing something like that. And I feel at this stage, Sage, we should have a lot of Sage clubs in different secondary schools. Government should also look at the private organizations and NGO that are already doing something in line of entrepreneurship education, and see how do we support this. Imagine if you approve that Sage Club is running in all government schools, and then you give some support, you give leverage to teachers and students to be able to work around the clock and utilize their holiday. We see that in the long run, a lot of changes would happen, and it's going to have a ripple effect in the future. So I feel the earlier we begin, then the better for us. I think I'm talking a lot already, but
Oh
that's
no,
what
I mean
I
that's
feel.
very much welcome. We really need to dissect. I mean, cut. I mean, use some. I don't know what Chinese skills I can actually use. That these are really critical matters we need to really talk about, right? Yeah, you spoke so beautifully about what we need to do as individuals and not just wait on for government, because yeah, some of these people do not even really. They're not bothered.
They
I
don't
don't want to
care.
talk politics. Oh,
Honestly.
well, I mean, so talking about government, like let's really go somewhere. Um, this might sound like we're diverting a little bit, but it does seem that the government of Nigeria is doing quite a lot around entrepreneurship and innovation. Well, that I know of, I think, or I am very much confident that yes, the ex-president, His Excellency Olusegun Obasanjo, is the host for the Sage 2021 Nigeria, Exhibition Awards, right? I'm correct. So
Yeah.
that's a policy leader doing something to help the entrepreneurial ecosystem in Nigeria, right? I don't know how much more governmental organizations are heavily involved in building that narrative, but it does seem that to a certain level, policy leaders are trying their possible best to add on to this. I recently saw something quite intriguing where the Imo State Governor of Nigeria actually enrolled in a footwear academy, right? That's one of the.
I think
Do
that
you
should be
guys know
Abia
about that?
State. That
That's
should be Abia
Abia State,
State.
rather. Oh,
Yes.
okay. That's one of the most intriguing thing that I've seen or witnessed as uh, a citizen for a leader to do. It's to a certain level encourages more youth to go into things like that. And I think we honestly want to see more leaders like jump on that bandwagon. Maybe not the same way the Abia State governor did, but probably or give or raise awareness around initiatives that are doing stuff like this. Like your work at the talk with Matan and what Space Track is doing, right? Let me hit the ball a little bit about Nigeria. So with the ban on Twitter, right? I took a pause there to smile because we can see how a whole lot of people had subscribed to the use of digital innovation or tools to expand their business. And does the ban on Twitter or does the ban on or the regulation or of digital media or social media, does it cripple the entrepreneurial landscape? Right? Is there something that can be done to better educate those people to use these social media channels or maximize their potentials on using social media channels, not just to criticize government, but to create thriving solutions to lasting problems, right? What can we do around digital innovation as an inclusion to solving the problems or challenges faced by Africans?
Okay,
Lalo.
so yes. So talking about Twitter ban in Nigeria and then the effect on entrepreneurship, I'll start by picking up the reason for the ban. Right, the reason for the ban was according to Twitter, the Nigerian government violated their policy, right?
Okay.
Which I believe, okay, it's something they had put together from the onset. Now, it is expected that before you sign up for such a platform, you understand their policy, right? So you don't violate them because violating a policy has consequences, right? And now, what I expected is we've been banned. So did we really violate the policy, or this thing was some misconception? If the policy was actually violated, okay, now how do we work it out in such a way that it doesn't affect not just the government now, but then the entire country? Seeing that Twitter has been a platform that has really fostered a lot of growth digitally in Nigeria. We have a lot of Nigerian influencers on Twitter. We have a lot of businesses that has done so well on Twitter. We have a lot of Nigerian startups that through Twitter they've been able to connect with investors abroad, outside of the country and other parts of Africa. And then this platform has been completely banned. Now, how are you encouraging these startups? How are you encouraging these entrepreneurs? For instance, imagine someone was already putting up or in contact with a company out there, and we're already going about discussing partnership and all of that, investment for a business, and then all of a sudden the platform has, gone down in your country. Now, I don't want to talk about having means of, bypassing the protocols and still using the platform. I don't want to talk about that, but all I'm trying to say is that we need to have a system that enables, the growth of entrepreneurs. Okay, this is a digital age, and if we are talking about digital platforms, there should be no bully on them, so that you don't kill the confidence of people. How am I sure that tomorrow something is not going to happen and then Facebook is also going to be banned in Nigeria? So what becomes of us? Okay, so where then are we heading to? Where then are we going to? If we are talking about being in a digital age where we don't allow digital innovations to excel freely, you understand? Where then are we going to? So somehow, okay, for this whole thing to work for us in Nigeria, we need to look for a way to penetrate the system. We need to look for a way to penetrate the system of government. Now, I was putting something together. My emphasis today are more going to be on Port Harcourt and the Niger Delta region as a whole, because of the effect of oil and gas in the region that has actually kept this region away from the other aspect of life that are actually doing well. So I'm putting up something for entrepreneurs in the Niger Delta region. Okay, it's a network of entrepreneurs in the Niger Delta region. And what we are trying to do is that in each of the Niger Delta states, we are going to have a team, a delegate. Okay, we are going to have voices in these states that will be able to, be on the ground to try to penetrate the system of government, to try to reach some of these, key stakeholders in the states, to explain some of the plights of the young entrepreneurs. You understand? So now I believe so much in equipping people early with skills. Okay, it works perfectly well, but it comes to a point where you need something, beyond just a skill to get something done. It gets to a point where you need a bigger platform, and this is where the system of government plays a major role. Because if they are not giving you the leverage, if they are not giving you the freedom, okay, to exhibit what you have, then it's going to be really, really difficult. No matter how hard you try, no matter how smart you think you can work things out. Now, if you look thoroughly in Nigeria now, a lot of the businesses we have that are doing well, their main backbones are actually not in Nigeria. Most of them have strong investors in Silicon Valley. Most of them are seriously backed by some real good VCs outside of the country, outside of the continent. And this is the reason why they are trying to excel in Nigeria. Now, imagine a startup in Nigeria that do not have such connection to some VCs in Silicon Valley or some other part of the world, backing them or giving them the relevant support they need, and you're only depending on the system here in Nigeria. It's going to be very difficult. So I think somehow we need to look for a way to penetrate, the system, so we get these key stakeholders in politics and in leadership roles to understand that for the system, for the economy to actually grow the way they want it to grow, they need to factor in these things. Okay, they need to factor in entrepreneurship. They need to make it what it. They need to make it something that people are interested in getting involved with. They need to make it such that growing up, I see that it's not just about going to school. Thank God for what the governor of Abia State, like you said, is doing, putting up an academy for shoemaking, right? Now, you can see that
it's not the governor who put up the academy. So the academy was put up by one Chidima, yeah, and he enrolled. Okay. Yeah, so the governor enrolled to learn how to make shoes.
Wow.
Yeah,
They enroll to
I
learn
mean
how to
that's
make shoes.
the governor of Abia State. I think that's the first
Okay.
man in the state, right? That's how you guys have it in Nigeria, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Enroll to learn how to make shoes at about what age? 60 something or 50 something, right? That bets a certain drive that regardless of how your early beginnings were, it's not too late to start up something. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, of course, of course, of
Right?
course. That's correct. That's correct. That's correct, and that's also very beautiful. Now, having I believe that having him on such a platform is also going to encourage others, right?
Yeah.
It's going to show that yes, this is something to really be identified with. It's going to attract the attention of investors. It's going to really drive the younger generation to move forward with something they believe so much in. So this is a kind of push and encouragement I'm talking about, where the system doesn't push these things aside, but they get actively involved in them. So imagine a system of government where the state has a budget, okay, that this year we are going to ensure we bring into reality, okay, maybe about 300, 500 ideas. You understand? They have a budget for that. It's not just about infrastructural development and putting structures in place and all of that, but we are also investing in the people. We are also making them understand that we are doing these things together. I'm not just, we are not just here to give you good roads and all of that. Those things are good, but then we need people. Now, imagine in Nigeria where we no longer depend on Westerners for so many things. I saw the other day that I think the vice president tested the first electric vehicle in Nigeria, right? It was assembled in Nigeria by I think Hyundai or so. Right now,
I mean that's still an international
we have
organization.
yes,
It's not a
that's
Nigerian
what I'm saying.
organization.
So it's not a Nigerian organization. So that's what I'm saying. Now they're appreciating what those guys are doing, but we can actually do these things here in Nigeria. We have the minds, we have the brains, we have the strength, we have the capacities. So all they need to do is to make the system. Now, just imagine someone coming up now. I want to set up an automobile company for electric vehicles, right? Now, you can't imagine the rigorous processes you're going to encounter trying to set that up in the first place. You understand? So they need to make these things very flexible so that I'm coming up as an entrepreneur. I know that first I need to have a registered company. Now, what does it take to register a company in Nigeria? All of these things should be very flexible. Okay, how is the taxing system like? All of these things need to be very flexible. Now, even setting up a corporate account for your business with the banks, you know how tedious that can be sometimes. But these are some things that if they are made very flexible, okay, it encourages entrepreneurs to go out there, right? It's worth it. Because at the end of the day, things are going to be made simpler and easier for you. Most of the countries today that are doing so well in terms of entrepreneurship and innovation, trust me, their government has a major role they are playing to support them. Okay, so I find it really difficult to believe that we are actually going to, no matter the amount of development centers we have, these things are good, okay? But my point here is that we need to look for a way to also penetrate the system of government. Let's try to make them understand that we can actually go faster as a nation together if the entrepreneurship side of things are not just put aside. Okay, now our curriculum, like what, hello?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, so now
I was
talking
about
about
to chip in, but let me let you
yes.
finish.
Okay, so talking about our educational system now, right? You have to spend so much years in school, and at the end of the day, you realize a lot of these things you learned in school are actually not what you need in real life. I'm currently doing my postgraduate studies, my master's in computer science, and I've going through my course outline. It was so amazing that a lot of the things I'm going to be learning in the classroom or I'm going to be studying are not actually things I'm to implement in real life. And it was really discouraging. Trust me, it was really, really discouraging. here in Nigeria. And then I stumbled on the curriculum of another school outside the country, okay, for the same masters in computer science. And when I saw their course outline, their syllabus, what they are going to cover, it was so rich that at the end of the day, you are not just coming out with a certificate or a degree, you are coming out well skilled and equipped to be employable, and even you can be self-employed.
Wow.
You understand? So all of these
would
things
that explain why a lot of people look out from the country to go study abroad?
Yes, you understand, because even when you go to school, I was talking to some colleagues of mine at school, and for a lot of them, all they care about is the certificate. Most of them are civil servants. They get it, upgrade their CV, and then they get promoted and their pay goes up. That's what they care about. It's really not about the knowledge or the skill they are getting, because they don't even implement.
Okay, I think we are losing you there,
It's not like that for everyone. Yes.
Oh, we are losing you there.
Some of us are actually.
That's it. We can hear you now. Your internet is back. Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Okay. Yeah. So some of us, we are actually very much interested in making changes and making impact, not just going to school to be a master's degree holder or a PhD holder, and then at the end of the day, you don't have anything to show for it. It's not just about the certificate, right? It's about making impact. My main motive for going to for that program was to actually meet up with like minds, meet up with other entrepreneurs, network with people, and then see what's happening at the other side of things. But I was so disappointed to find out that things are actually not the way I thought they were going to be. So then, for all of these things to change, for our syllabus to change, educational system to be improved, I think we just need to look for a way to penetrate the system of government, either through the people that are there, or having people with this initiative go in the place of power. We thank God for the SAGE platform. We thank God for the former president Olusegun Obasanjo, and these guys, they have a whole lot of things to do with regards to this. They've gone out there, they've seen stuff, they've met with people, and I think it's just something the government should just take upon themselves, that we need to develop ourselves in this area, because I think the emphasis has been placed so much on other things that over the years has not really proven to be of so much help to the country.
Okay,
so
Valo,
I think
thank you so much.
We should try to penetrate the system. Yes.
All right. So I think I'm sorry to draw the curtains like that on you, but I'd like to proceed. I see Makan has a lot to say, and having spoken about education and touch base, I think I really love the combination of both of you, right? One is looking about awareness and education and knowledge base, and the other is looking at capacity building and more finances, and how all of these can come together to create that synergy we want to see. Before I come over to you, Makan, let's take a few comments from the audience. We have people joining live on Facebook and YouTube. Like I mentioned, we are streaming live on the Digital Times Africa Facebook page, a YouTube channel, and also on Sage Nigeria Facebook and YouTube channel. So let's see what people are saying on social media, right? It's quite an interesting one. Mr. Benedict Oklu, I think it is Ghanaian, is saying our government doesn't care about us. I think we can do this by ourselves by hosting shows like these and educate people on skills and entrepreneurship. I think that goes more majorly for Anne. And yes, that's your channel. That's what you do, and see how best we can forge ahead to create some of these exciting, intriguing conversations to help drive that change we want to see. And okay, I'm gonna have to bite my tongue to pronounce this name. I'm so sorry if I massacre your name. Please forgive me. Really forgive me. I'm gonna try my possible best to get it right. Igbara Lenu Michael says that governments are not doing enough when it comes to support for entrepreneurs and ideas. Our taxing systems will kill a business or a startup before even the brains behind the startups behind the startups fail. Let me take that again. Let me just make sure we're right. Governments are not doing enough when it comes to support for entrepreneurs and ideas. Our taxing system will kill a business or startup before even the brains behind the startups fail. Anne, can we get a comment on this? Right before we get into let's get a comment on this, right? And then we'll look at this. Not to cut you short, Mark, and before you say any other thing, someone is saying, Deborah Samuel says, yeah, McAnn made a very interesting point. Education is very important in entrepreneurship. And trust me, it is the basic foundation for a successful business. Mr. Valoko also made a valid point, because when you have been equipped educationally and there is no fund to push your ideas, then success will not be ascertained, vice versa. All right, let's hear your reactions. McAnn, you first.
Okay, so I agree with what everyone is saying. So policy is also another thing that would help entrepreneurship thrive. I wanted to make a comment on the previous question. You talked about media, but I don't know if I can go back to that.
Feel free.
And, okay, I didn't get the question so correctly, but then you talked about how can the media or the digital media or social media help entrepreneurs, and with the ban of Twitter and the rest of it. And Valom made an interesting point then. So let me go back a bit, because I believe the social media is digital media is the future. It has come to stay. And the earlier we embrace it as a medium to enhance our productivity as business people, as entrepreneurs, the better for us. And the government also needs to support this and not just think about themselves, but think about people it is helping. Now, when while Mr. Valo was speaking, and I remember the story that happened years ago. There was this young guy in the northern part of Nigeria, either Kaduna or something. He made, I don't know how many of us know about it. He made a painting, a drawing of Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart is the renowned international movie actor and producer, comedian, movie actor, and the rest of it. And he made this beautiful painting. And then he went on Twitter and he told people, please keep retweeting till Kevin Hart sees this. Now, a lot of persons kept retweeting and retweeting and retweeting till Kevin Hart saw it. And Kevin Hart made a tweet. He was like, I've seen your work. I like it. I'm going to pay for you to make 6 other paintings for some of my friends. Can you see the power of the social media? That story trended. That should be 2019. I think it was during my national service. And I even quoted it in my book, Beyond the Classroom, talking about social media. So social media is a plus. You know, when I thank God today for how far I've got, I thank God because I would have been able to go to this extent without leveraging social media. The truth is, we're here having this conversation and people are conversing with us. I don't want to restrict based on Twitter. Twitter is also an arm of social media. And I just want to talk about social media generally and how it is helping local businesses. I have my trainings that I do, and I've had people from US and other parts of the world sign up for the training, even without having to meet me physically. We remember last year, the outbreak of COVID-19.
Yeah.
Everyone had to sit at home. How were people able to feed? How were they able to push their brands? We discovered that it brought in the new normal, where a lot of entrepreneurs started thinking of online media, because it was as if when the COVID happened, when the breakout happened, and there was lockdown, a lot of businesses were locked down physically, but social in the online space, business were bubbling, and that was where we started having an increase in online conferences and the rest of it. So I feel the social media, because I am passionate about utilizing the media as a tool to educate. So the media and education are 2 areas I'm passionate about. I currently got admission for a master's study to study media practice for development and social change, because media is a tool that would aid the development of entrepreneurship and a lot of things. And there are so many policies that are on the line that can help entrepreneurs begin to maximize it. Now, I will talk about access. Now, for the government banning a medium like Twitter, it's not a welcome development. I feel the first thing the government should do is to understand the trends and the time and embrace it instead of working against it. Because if you see that as a tool to connect with the younger generation, that is, they call our generation this Sorosoke generation, the generation that speaks up, and you're now shutting them off from speaking up. You're already bridging the place of communication, because young people cannot come to House of Assembly to talk about the issues affecting them. When they go on social media, it's a platform for you to. It's kind of a means of the government listening to the people, and a government that doesn't listen to the people, then you can't implement what they want. So you can go ahead doing what you want. So social media has a lot it's doing for businesses. When we talk about visibility, when we talk about promotion, getting customers, getting clients, even helping you at the comfort of your home, you deal with clients in different parts. And using a medium like Twitter that reaches out to a lot of persons, it's not so good. Another thing I also want to talk about is that there are still a lot of entrepreneurs that have not been able to effectively utilize social media for their business promotion. So the government also, in the bid of pushing out entrepreneurship, I also believe that young people, there are schools in Nigeria that don't even have a computer system. Young people have never seen a computer. They don't even know how to operate a computer. And then when we're talking about the other world where young people are developing apps, developing applications to solve problems and the rest of it. And over here, we're also having people who have they don't even know how to operate such gadgets. I believe there should also be a synergy where young people begin to know the ethics of using social media. So instead of just banning it totally, but can we begin to talk about the ethics where people now know how to speak up? Now, it's not just a place where you just do Twitter savage and reply people arrogantly, but how do you use it to promote your business? A lot of business people don't know about branding. How do I brand my business and make it more visible? So I believe more business people should be encouraged to utilize social media, and the government should be looking at how can we empower more of our business people to begin to use social media instead of banning it. Let them embrace it, encourage them to utilize it in the right way, because there are a lot of people that don't know, they just use it anyhow. But if they are taught, if they know how to utilize it in the right way, it can also help. It's helping the businesses, the small businesses grow, whereby you can have businesses in local communities. You talked about the urban and the rural urban migration. With the effective use of social media, we won't be having a lot of rural urban migration, because why do I need to leave the comfort of my rural environment if I have access to internet connectivity, and if I can, if I can meet my customers can reach out to me without me having to go to them. So we also, because the digital media is a tool that's going to scale up entrepreneurship in Africa and in Nigeria, and it needs to be embraced. So we also even need education awareness on how people can begin to utilize this, how they can begin to create apps and utilize social media for business growth. Okay, so that's my point on that aspect.
All right, great, Makan. Thank you so much. I'll get to you soon, Valo. We have less than 6 minutes to wrap up, so I'm just going to take a few more comments from our audience, and then we'll share final words, and I'll give more remarks about the Sage dialogue series and what our audience or prospects should look out for tomorrow. Before I continue, before I go on, we will be live tomorrow at 10:30 GMT +1, right? We'll be talking about education tomorrow. Today we spoke about Crude and Entrepreneurship and Innovation, Africa's new Crude. And it's good to see the man from Port Harcourt who mostly mentioned crude oil and the focus more on entrepreneurship against focus on crude oil. Let's see what a couple of people are saying online, right? I'm not so sure and answered some of the questions that were made a reaction to some of the comments from online audience. But let me see what This person is saying. Igbaleno Michael also says again that I've met young brains with a lot of nice ideas, but lack of funding and support is their first excuse when asked why they are not bringing these ideas into life. And the tax system is the next, and then unlawful and hideous monopolization of some sectors for certain people. Well, this is a problem that would, for a very long time, exist until we begin to put things in place and have policies that address the adjudication of some of these resources that benefits everyone and not just a sect of people, right? Viola Jr. says amazing, and she continues to say that I believe the government can be penetrated too. There has to be a way to reach out to them. Yes, there has to be a way to reach out to them. I'm sure that the Nigerian voters registration is currently ongoing. Maybe that's a way to reach out to the government. Who knows? That's just we need flexibility in Nigeria. Igbalene Michael again comes back to say that the governor of Abia State's enrollment to learn shoemaking is a welcome development when it comes to promotion and adverts for that firm, but it should not stop there. He needs to be able to render more support that firm or business outside the media. Well, at least that is someone doing something to help. We need more people to do that. Don't you agree? Let's see what this person says. Kinese Samson, our government places no value on the importance of education, entrepreneurship, and technology, which I believe go hand in hand. However, I don't think entrepreneurship can be taught in school. Education has nothing to do with the classroom. I wish we can embrace technology in Nigeria fully. Good. And now let's settle it in. That's the beautiful comment. I mean, the guy just nails it for me. And that's the final question you're going to go to. And you want to say something?
I want to say something because people don't understand this. There's a misconception. If we check the meaning of education, my phone is being used, but people should check the meaning of education. If they understand what education is, they will know that education is not just classroom is a means to an end. It's a means to achieve education, but it is not the totality of education. If he understands this, it's going to make him understand that comment saying that education, schooling is not education, that entrepreneurship cannot be taught in the school. Let me read it out. He said, okay, our government places no value on the products. So he said entrepreneurship. Okay, I'm trying to. Okay, he says, I don't think entrepreneurship can be taught in school, and education has nothing to do with a classroom. Okay, I wish we can. So saying education has nothing to do with a classroom, I think that's a statement I want to correct a bit. Education happens in a classroom. If we understand this, it's just like saying that having a twin is just like having a tripod stand that has 3 legs. Now, because my phone is standing on a tripod stand, if one of the legs of the tripod is taken away, it's not going to have stability. So if we begin to see education from the holistic aspect and not see and not just using one aspect, using one leg of it. If you use one leg of a tripod to try to stand, it's called a tripod because the 3 leg gives it balance. When we decide to take off one of the leg and use one of it, we're going to see that it's going to keep stumbling. And that is why people are having issues. We have boxed up education in a classroom, but education is not restricted to classroom. Everything you do to keep growing, every new knowledge, what we're doing now, we are educating. I hope we understand. What we're doing now is education.
Yeah, that's
because
true.
You're learning something. When you pick up a book to read, it is education. When you go to the markets and then you negotiate with people, and through the negotiation, someone was about to cheat you, and you were able to, bring in the negotiation game on, and you were able to convince that person you bought that product. You've learned something. So every medium that gives you opportunity to learn is a means of education, and that is why education is formal, informal, and non-formal. So the classroom cannot be able to teach entrepreneurship. Education can teach entrepreneurship if we look at the other forms of education. So I agree with what he said. The classroom cannot teach entrepreneurship, but the classroom is not also the final conclusion. Education cannot be boxed up in the classroom.
Okay, thank you so much. Yes. And Valerie, final comment before we run away. What do
Yes.
you think? What the person shared?
Yeah. I strongly believe that when it comes to entrepreneurship, knowledge is key. But then at the same time, I think it has to do more of personal experience and encounters. Like I mentioned earlier, a lot of the brilliant ideas we have today, they were based on personal experiences and personal encounters, not really in the classroom or taught by anyone. So we should just have a place where we have a freedom in our mind where we can think beyond books, beyond curriculums, and then we acquire all the skills we can acquire, take advantage of opportunities, especially the digital platforms, social medias, and get stuff working, and eventually an opportunity will strike. You get what you need, and then get your ideas working. So basically, that's it.
Thank you so much. That all time will allow us for such an insightful contributions and knowledge sharing platform like this. This is the Sage Dialogue series and is brought to you by Digital Times in partnership with Sage Nigeria and AfroSeed. Right. This dialogue continues again tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. GMT plus one. Do well to join in. Let's share your thoughts, share your comments. Let us know what you're thinking. These videos are available on our social media channels: Facebook at Digital Times Africa, on Facebook again, Sage Nigeria, and also on YouTube, Digital Times Africa. This all time will allow, like I said earlier, but we will have to take one last comment and then we'll just leave. So again, Leno Michael says the power of social media can never be overemphasized. I remember a certain comment from the ruling party in Nigeria where they categorically stated that success in the 2015 polls is linked to social media. Wow. The citizens who wrote support for them. And then I begin to wonder why such governments who have benefited so much from social media will shut down major branch of social media. Okay, thank you so much for your comment, Iqbal and Michael. Thank you so much for joining the conversation, by the ways. And finally, I think as a reply to your answer, Mark Ann, Kinesi Samson comes to say that education is the totality of enlightenment. As an educated person is an enlightened person. And enlightenment, I believe, can happen at any location. Well, that goes to buttress the point that Anne made. The classroom only aims to create conducive environment for learning. I'm a software engineer that studied chemistry, biochemistry. Wow. what a transition. And did attend a computer class. Did not attend a computer class my whole school period. Wow. Well, I believe we all share some of those stories. We all can, share some of these stories as well. Thank you so much. That's all time will allow us. Thank you so much to my able guest in person of Anne Obize. I hope I got your name right, and sorry if I murdered your name. And Valo MC Barry Cole. Look forward to seeing you guys some other time on maybe another exciting platform where we can get to like collaborate and share more knowledge. And look forward to seeing you tomorrow on the call as we get ready for the talk on education, right? Thank you so much. This is Digital Times Africa. Feel free to connect with us on social media and connect with the Sage Nigeria platform as well. Don't forget the Sage Nigeria 2021 exhibition and awards will begin on the 24th, right, through to the 26th. We are going to host a fire chat. Is it fireside or fire chat?
Fireside.
Which one is it? Everybody. Okay, so we're going to have a fireside chat with the former president of Nigeria on the 26th at 2:30 p.m. GMT plus one, where he is going to share nuggets about entrepreneurship and how we as a people or together we can build the next level or the next phase of entrepreneurial leaders in the country and in Africa as a whole. Right? Thank you so much. And this is the end of the show. Feel free to visit Digital Times Africa for more exciting news updates around technology, new entrepreneurship, and innovation. We create these relevant updates for you, and the Sage Nigeria Dialogue will probably be streamed by Digital Times Africa as well. So don't forget to join in tomorrow as well for the for the conference or for the dialogue series. Thank you very much, and have a good day or good evening. Bye bye. Bye bye,
Bye.
and bye bye, Valo. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.